Today has been an historic day. Today's the day when all the rules got bent. The BBC started a pirate radio station. Yes, a floating ship just off the coast of Harwich. In 1923, the BBC started as a commercial organisation set up by the radio manufacturers in order to promote their goods. The British Broadcasting Company became the corporation in 1930. But actually, the BBC has always been promoter of strange things. Now, of course, in the 1960s, it was the BBC who had the greatest vested interest in closing down the pirate radio stations. Caroline, London, City, Scotland. But actually now, in 2007, it's the BBC who appear to be intent on preserving them. Pirate BBC Essex has been on the air from a ship, a former lightship, the LV-18, anchored just off Harwich, with all the stars, Dave Cash, Emperor Roscoe, Johnny Walker, and many, many others. What's the point of it? Well, the point of it is a celebration of something that changed the face of radio, as we will see.
It's just a shame it's got down. Oh, I'm sure, yes. I don't need to say my name, everybody knows.
Well, he has made but the fact is, he has everybody in radio.
Do you reckon he'll just take a seat as we talk?
He's a complete fraud.
Yeah, because I don't know anybody that's actually new to the town.
He never was. He'll tell you he works on Caroline.
Yeah, I know.
But he never did. He tried.
I think he's like 3 or 4 cracks. He's driving over that's about it. I see no shit. Ahoy! Hiya, Jeff. Something for you, mate. You brought our photograph. G'day. How are you, mate? All right. Good. Hello, mate. How are you doing? Yeah, all right. Mine.
Have you got Bruce take keys off? Take keys off.
Sorry, excuse.
Got battery in it. Can you take keys off?
There he is. Now?
You've got with the next one.
Yeah, we take keys off.
Hey,
Take keys off.
Keep teeth off. Right.
You leave them right.
just getting out now, so it's never look.
Come and stand in quick.
Where's Ray?
We can take this if you like.
seen him yet. He was having to drive some
Lovely day.
It's been a terrifically long time.
Now, can you remember those words you uttered when you first met this man?
You're here tomorrow, yeah? You're not
I don't have to recognise me when I've grown my hair. It was a choice between being an OAP, an old age pensioner, or an old hippie, so I got my hair dropped out. It's Chris Bear from Radio Derby. You come up with the show from here. Came up on your motorbike, looking like Arnold Schwarzenegger.
I can see you.
Yes, he has.
Nice day to you. Guess where I'm going? You're going home for a beer.
No beer on board. No Heineken.
Graham, sorry. No, I didn't realise you were there.
Heineken? Waste of good water.
Get on.
I knew these two were around because we've been in communication, but I didn't realise that. Well, I said something with
I heard you this morning. I was listening. Disgraceful.
I do.
Winning more friends. Right, yes.
Turning.
Actually,
Good to see you. Well, hello, James.
Hello.
You did one.
Yes. Chris Baird. Oh, Chris Baird. You don't look like him. You don't look like him at all.
I retired and dropped out.
that's not Chris Baird.
Who's having this? Okay. One needs to go down for
So what are you doing now? Where are you?
There you go, thank you.
Fantastic.
I'll just get up here.
Cheers, John. See you, mate. See you later. All the best, Jeb.
There's no thanks meant here.
Back down to milk it up.
But it's nice that they could have
As we did with beach. BBC Health and Safety, there's a maximum number of people we can have on the boat, and we've actually gone past that ever so slightly. I'd love to. If I could, I would.
Nothing personal.
Hello, Wombat. Hello. How are you? It could not be better.
See you guys. Yeah, right up here.
I had an email this morning from Mark Roman. So he's listening. Excuse me. Everything you eat?
Hiya.
Hello.
How you doing?
Good. You?
I need to put you down on my log.
Yeah.
Bruce, my son. Yeah, Bruce.
Joint Barrington Clark. Yes, this is really good farmer.
Hi guys, are amazing, and then I mean the AM stuff is.
I don't know, bought yourself a Chinese wife.
Yeah, I
so
gather
he's
he's
hardly.
I've been away somewhere.
Yesterday listening to you on 7.
I gather
Oh, did you? Oh, when you called up, and I thought after a text, I thought it was good. I quite enjoyed yesterday as well.
I had your number from the photos.
Yeah.
I got it transposed by one. This girl called Sally.
Yeah, well, Shelley was telling me the story because she called just after you, and she'd had the same trouble. I didn't know that. So
I think the reason why I was able to communicate with you when I was out before is because you'd sent me a text and I just hit reply.
that's it. Yes, yeah.
So where you actually?
Yeah, no, this one did, and I think now Michael's got his plunger, we might be able to use the shower, because the tray.
This is the communications array in here, is it?
Yeah. This is the nerve centre.
How's the response on emails this time?
I don't know. I think we must be up to about well over 1,000 now. I'd have thought.
Really?
Which is pretty good.
You leave the emails for 30 seconds and another 3 come in. It's like
Yeah,
that.
you can't leave it. It's
It's
go over
constant.
10 minutes, you come back.
So
dealing
what
with 30.
what sort of area are you getting them from? You know, from people in.
Well, we've had New Zealand, Australia, America, Costa Rica,
Really?
Azerbaijan,
Equatorial Africa.
Equatorial Africa. We had something from there. Yeah, it's amazing. I mean, a lot of expats, obviously, but
Yeah. Yeah.
but you know, when the Australians are on during the night, we get lots from Australia and Brisbane and places like that. Yeah.
Well, they had a competition last night at the you know, the disco with
Yeah.
Dave Cash and Roscoe, and a prize for the person that's come the furthest.
To visit.
Yeah, to the you know, to visit,
Yeah.
and I think the winner was Cyprus.
It's not bad, is
There
it?
was Cyprus, France. Cyprus finished up being the furthest away, I think.
Yeah. Expat in Cyprus. Yeah.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
How you doing?
This is mine. Christmas before Christmas. That's the microphone. Really? Yeah. Anyway. I'll do an interview.
That's your recording thing, that's not a mobile phone.
No, this is my recording thing.
Oh wow.
Just press this button. Yeah. And the editing software appears. It's a recording thing. Just record, play, do an interview.
That's amazing. What'd you save it on? Little flashcard thing or something?
Yeah. It's on, one of those, yeah.
You get what, a gigabyte?
Yeah, 1 gig.
Yeah.
And then, so the best thing then is actually to send it back.
Yeah. Yeah, by mobile.
Either by mobile or what? Here, we've got a wireless network.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Sort of 3 minutes of video back in 1 minute.
Are we on here?
Yes,
Yeah. This is a geek talk, this.
Yeah.
And
Can you remember when the BBC would only accept anything that was 16 IPS or whatever it was?
16? Oh, I see what you're on tape, yeah, 15, yeah.
Or 15,
yeah. Well, they still do if you use tape, but nobody uses tape anymore.
Yeah.
You got rid of that.
Sorry, I want to look at your camera. 3CCD.
Doesn't
it's a Leica, man.
Yeah.
Wow, that's a serious
Pretty good.
big
It's
kit.
mini DV, but 3CCD, 3 chips. And,
I'll have to go
we
get my
use
camera
it
out
and
now.
mix the material with like 50 grand broadcast cameras.
How much did that set you back?
Well, if it was brand new, just over £1,000 with the wide angle lens.
Yeah.
But eBay, 450.
You really?
Not bad.
450.
Are you
I got you on there.
Are you not pleased with the pictures from this then?
Yeah, I am, yeah. Yeah. No, very pleased.
Good.
Maybe if you've got a few back home, wherever you are at the moment, of some things that you thought would never happen in 40 years' time.
Just let us know.
Yeah, just put those on your emails and your texts as well, because I'm sure there's some funny things, the comparisons between now and then. I mean, on the way here, I had to fill up with petrol, of course, and that was only £0.50. That made a change. That made a change. And I have with me Barnacle Bill. Yes, he came out here to see his family on the hull of the ship. Now, I know that's an old gag, but it works. And every now and then he slips away just to say hi, guys, and then comes back into the studio, which is very, very good.
Hi, guys.
That's great. Not a scratch on him. We've got to say hello to some people. You've got a dedication. There's somebody who's emailed us.
I have. Hang on a sec. It's from Johnny G. He's listening for the first
Turn your
time.
microphone down.
Okay, I'm not a professional like you.
No, but you're better than me. This is so embarrassing.
He says, great atmosphere and great music. I often pay tribute to the old pirate days on my internet shows. I send all over American stations now. They love it too. All my very best from Johnny G.
Wow. Oh yes!
Okay, it's time to put on.
We're live and we're having a great time on a very sunny Saturday afternoon at 12:15. Let's have another one of these. Yes, they're coming around. Thousands of boats are. You can't get away with it. Only the people that are standing on the pier know there aren't thousands of boats going around here, but everybody else might believe me. But it's we have had a lot of visitors here, haven't we? A lot of boats coming around.
Yeah, and phone calls coming in, and text messages coming on 07786 200 765. That was good, wasn't it?
No, it's not bad.
Okay,
I didn't know you knew that many.
What about
numbers.
emails on essex.pirate@bbc.co.uk.
They're coming through, and if you've got something you want to tell us about what you're doing this afternoon, maybe you're having a barbecue, got the radio on, want to hear some great music from the 60s, then you've got the right station, and this is the right time to do it. Wow, what an August! This is a terrific time.
Hang on a sec, Mark. Can I say hello to my lovely wife, Mrs. Barnacle Bill?
You certainly
Jade.
This is one of those things that when I finally left pirate radio and commercial radio, rejoined Civvy Street. And I moved to an ordinary house somewhere in an ordinary town, and everybody got to know who I was. And of course, they used to have these pub quizzes, and they said, "Oh yeah, I've got to get Mark Wesley, and because he'll be our secret ringer who'll go in there, he'll know all the answers to all the records, all the songs, he'll know them all." I don't, and I explain to them, it's not going to ask me that. So when we do the pub quiz, and I'm sitting there, and they're all feeling pretty smug because they got me there, who must know the names and addresses of all the names of all the records and the times they were released and what socks they were wearing when they recorded them. I have no idea. I'm in a studio. I play them, move on, play the next record. I'm not a fan so much as I just love the music. So every time the question is asked, okay, and so tick off question number 22. It'll be about some music thing. They'll all look to me. Mark will know, and then of course I don't. If it happens 2 or 3 times, eventually
they stop looking at me, and it's very, very deflating. You're sitting there and nobody's paying you a blind bit of notice, but you do get a bit of peace and quiet after a while, I have to say.
Pirate BBC Essex with Mark Wesley on 729, 765 and 1530 medium wave.
Pirate BBC Essex.
If you're going to come out on your boat, make sure you have a horn, because we want to know you are there, and then you come by. A lot of people have been coming by in their boats and their yachts, and there are other bits and pieces, and we're very, very glad that you've bothered to come out to see us, because we just love seeing you there. If you've got any messages or requests, tie them onto something solid, less of a brick, but something at least solid that will you can lob through the air. And hang on, there's some people coming by now. Hello, I'm going to blow you. If you're listening to me now, I'm going to blow you a horn. Here it is. Two sailing boats going by. Obviously don't have horns on board, otherwise I'd be blowing them like mad. I've got an old bloke here in the studio, and I'm not talking about Barnacle Bill only. I've got Eric Hall in the studios here as well. Hello, Eric.
How are you, Bob?
Now, if you lean over, there's a microphone here. Just a very quick hello, because Eric is not only a football manager now, but in his early days, he was a record plugger as well.
The best.
No, it was absolutely super. What name a typical record that you used to plug back in the 60s?
The 60s.
Yeah, name drop.
Lloyd, I forget his second name. Red Rose for a Blue Lady in the 60s. Oh God, no, I can't.
It's going well, isn't it?
Give me another era.
No, I can't do another because we don't live.
My favourite, I was told somebody earlier today, but I work for Major Minor Records, and I suppose one of my favourite songs and records from that period you're playing today would have been David McWilliams. Days of Pearly Spencer.
Days of Pearly Spencer. Days of Pearly Spencer. What's that about? That's almost that
No,
time. I think it was a little bit later.
Yeah, why? Is that about right?
That's all right. Yeah.
I think that's a little bit. We don't have it on the turntables right now, but a nice memory. Thank you for sharing that with us, Eric. Absolutely super. It's great to see you. How did you get out here, by the way?
I swam.
Ah, fantastic.
And rather than go over and fall asleep on the settee, which
I climbed on board the Swift and Dave Andrews fell in the drink.
just go and play stuff.
And very welcome you.
Yes, thank you.
2,700
15 seconds.
It's, you know, when you get here you think, well, you know, especially with the breakfast show, I did 5 till 7 this morning, and then it's nice to have company and people that you work with in the past and mates, because you sort of kill the time, pass the time of day. I know boring isn't a word I'd like to use, but yesterday it came a little bit close to it and I ended up falling asleep in the sun. But yeah, it's a good fun adventure. I don't know whether I'd want to do it for a month or 6 weeks or any more, but for a week occasionally I think it's a great idea. It's good fun.
Were you here the last time?
No, I wasn't. This is the first time I've ever been on a light ship of any sort.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, not on a boat.
Well, no, not the first time I've ever been on a ship, but I've never been on a light ship, and certainly not on this one.
Big radio man does barbed wire, and somebody said how to get
to wire more.
Right. So, I mean, barbed wire just came along, and then were you always into barbed wire? Or?
No. When I got out of television, a friend of mine had a big wire company, but he didn't have a wire mill. And he said to me, he rang me up, he said, why don't you come and work for me? I said, I don't want to work for me. You're an arsehole. Anyway, he... was that good sound? Edit.
It's not the first time.
Anyway, he put me on a plane and sent me all around the world to set up his wire mill. And he killed himself in a helicopter. And so I was suddenly in demand because I knew a bit about this business that I thought would be nice and easy. You just go and find somebody who's university trained, and you know, you make wire. It's an art form. And I found out all about it. And of course, when he died, I had the opportunity to buy some machines. So I did. And I started off with one, not just barbed wire. And I've now got 13.
Crikey.
Just dump a few.
Yeah, go on.
And I'm looking for excuse.
I think he might have gone ashore.
Yeah, he did.
He actually went ashore.
He went ashore when we came on at
Oh,
11.
he's a pain in that. You don't get me twice.
But there's another boat due soon because a couple of these guys are going.
Yes.
Sorry?
Couple
Yeah,
of these
we're
guys,
going off
yeah.
at 1:30.
For fuck's sake. Okay, here you go. Lovely.
These are the best glasses that $7 can buy. I'm going to tell you, no expense spared.
I'm going to go for you for 6.
There you go.
Mate? Alright.
Good to see you. People going off, they got their life jackets on. I'll go up the ladder. There you go. Mike, can you get my road saver off Roscoe, please? What?
I wanted to stay on for the whole 7 days.
Yeah. Eric, you look at this here. Don't let your heart make a schmuck of you. I think Eric wants to stay on.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know how many people's there, but I don't really want to get bogged down.
Oh,
So I'd like to sort of just Steve? Yeah, when we arrive on shore, yeah.
Yeah, do it.
And then you can say, well, I'll be back in 3 months.
Yeah. Try to show you.
My name's Jan.
Jan.
Apology orders. And I have read your book already. I'm quite interested.
It's a great moment, isn't it? Absolutely. Can you take some time? Take some time.
Many thanks.
Thanks a lot. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you all enjoying Pirate BBC Essex?
Yay!
Have to do it again.
Should we keep going after Tuesday? This is Steve, by the way. Steve's one of the guys that helped make it all happen, so he needs a round of applause. Thank you. Hello. How are you?
All right, thanks.
Thank you for supporting us as you have.
We've been doing it for years.
Yeah. And so we've got 2 queues going here, have we? Nearly there. You're nearly there. Thank you very much for buying it.
Thank you very much. Hope to see you soon.
Okay, yeah. Take care. All the best, yeah.
Bye, Steve.
Boy, Paul! Yeah, I have, yeah.
How's Sam and Beth?
They're very good, yeah. Sam's in Singapore. He's got 2 children.
2?
Yeah, married to Julianne. Beth's in London. She's doing great. So they're all very well.
Still driving well.
Nice to meet you. Keep it going.
Yeah,
Good, I don't think it's working. I think I might need to delete it.
Yeah?
You good? Yeah. Oh, well done.
Takes an expert.
I know. It's a bit too
When you do it in
There's 1450. Two. There you go.
Thank you very
Only bleep twice.
Thanks a lot.
Yeah. Her name's Maureen. Yeah.
How are you feeling today, Johnny? Good?
I'm feeling fantastic, thank you. Yeah. Did you hear the show last night?
Yes.
We're going to have a big party tonight. Dave Cash going to be there. They're all going to be on board.
Really?
Yeah, it's going to be mental.
I don't really think this is allowed because there's a very bright light from Shotley Marina, and we reckon that's Richard up to his games.
What do you think is Richard flashing? Yes, he is. There he is.
Yeah.
How regards, Richard.
So what's he got going there? It's a big, what is it? A big searchlight or what?
I think it must be. Yeah, he's sitting in the tower all by himself, controlling a lot for Shotley Marina.
Well, he might not be by himself. You don't know.
We'll ask him, shall we?
Are you on your own tonight, Richard? 2 flashes for yes. No, he is on his own. That was 1 flash for no. Have you got a few tinners in there, Richard? Come on, be honest. No, he's saying. So I guess, is that sort of a, responsible job?
Oh, very responsible. He has to control the lock gates, all the yachts coming in.
Well, it's dark, man. All the sailors are in the pubs now. Or in the yachts, getting out the G&Ts. You know what they're like.
The sensible ones are.
Anyway, it's good to know you there, Richard, and thanks for the light. We appreciate it. Give us a couple more.
Oh, there's more.
Thank you. And thanks to all those who come along to Shotley Bay tonight and over at Halfpenny. It's really good. So I'm whinging about the biscuits, they're whinging about the music.
That's right.
Yeah. Well, it's good. I mean, that was the thing. I used to think doing the 9 to midnight show, I used to miss out on some good times.
Yes.
Actually.
Yeah.
Night time's a nice time. You just relax, having a beer, sit in the back. But all this talk about a party, I expected things to be a bit wild, a bit of noise coming.
The dancing girls.
Yeah, you can't really organise a party like that on a ship. It's either spontaneously happens.
Yes.
Last night was pretty wild.
Yeah.
I thought last night was good.
Yeah, well, they ain't finished yet.
Hasn't it?
No,
Okay.
it's midnight, isn't it, you said? And the time is 10 to 11?
Yeah, John Kerr is on at midnight. He's a very nice Australian chap.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's not over yet, mate. You've still got an hour and 9 minutes to survive.
Who was it that, was it Graham Kerr at the Radio Academy thing in London the other Saturday, was wanging on about how us Australians had to come over here to show you Brits how it should be done.
Eat your heart out.
I mean, there were a lot of, there's good openings for Australian and Canadians on pirate radio. Because,
there was.
They did have the experience of doing it.
That's right, that was the main thing. It got me the job because I'd had a couple of years doing the oddball stuff at CFUN in Vancouver.
Yeah.
Getting the coffee built and getting the records. Get me this record.
But you never used to crow about, you come over here to show the others how to do it, did you?
No, I don't think so. I think those guys already knew. All we do is tell them a few rules. You either do or you don't. What are you going to tell Kenny Everett, for example?
Yeah. Mind you, he did, pursue a lot about women. That's to be said.
No, really? No, I wouldn't think so.
Hi, Johnny. The Caroline theme song always brings back memories. When I was a teenager, I had to get up early for work down Petersfield in Hampshire. My dear old mum would make breakfast in the kitchen as Caroline was opening its transmissions for the day at 6 a.m. On hearing the Caroline song, her retort every day was the same. Are you going to listen to that blooming old racket again today? And a follow-up for you, 1966, I was in Aden, South Yemen with the British Army. We could put my tranny near a great high-power pylon near our billet and pick up Caroline in London from 3,500 miles away. Wow. I find that absolutely incredible. Talking about the radio, the Caroline theme waking you up at 6 o'clock. Alan, are you there? Come and tell the story.
No.
Yeah, come and tell the story. Because I heard about this.
Try this one now.
Yeah, I was told it was my fault that he had to go to sea. So, what was the story, Alan?
Oh, the story was 1965. Listened to Radio Caroline, and I used to leave the radio on at night. And the theme.
Well, go to sleep with the radio station,
Yeah.
sort of.
Well,
thing.
no,
Yeah.
it used to switch off Radio Caroline, I think about midnight.
Yeah.
And then 6 o'clock in the morning, the theme tune came on. And that was my alarm call.
Right.
Waking up for my paper round. But unfortunately, my stepfather used to hear the radio on during the night.
What, it was just going all of that?
I think he must have got some interference or something.
Yeah.
But then he decided that he wasn't going to take it anymore. He threw the radio out the window.
He threw your radio out the window?
And closely followed by me out the front door. So then I ran away to sea.
Really? That was it? Wow. Well, you know...
So who is that DJ?
So it's my fault you've had a nautical life, really?
Well, 1965 it was, so find out who joined 1965.
Yeah. But you've done all right, haven't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, you've got a very good woman there? Even though she needs, you know, she doesn't instantly appreciate what she's got in you. But, hello there, Sally! Johnny Burnett and Dreaming, and I just played that on. Okay. Right. Apparently, somebody was complaining here that the party wasn't happening.
No, it was Johnny Walker.
Was it?
Yes, it was Johnny Walker who was complaining the party is not happening.
Okay, well, I was told there was going to be this big party tonight. Alan was coming over on this boat with his missus, and it was all going to be happening. It's been distinctly quiet.
Well, it has been distinctly quiet until this moment in time.
Right.
But this is all about the change, because we've spent an enormous amount of money to entertain Johnny Walker. If you like that, press that button there, we'll show you exactly what we mean. Go on, get that. All right, here we go. Where is she? Susie the stripper! All the way from Harwich Harbour! There she is! There she comes now, taking off the sweater, like that, whipping it round, round and round and round and round, round and round, there it goes! The sweater in the tone, chaps. Well, that's it now, you can stop. Well,
okay.
You see that, yeah, the only problem is we only had enough money to pay for her to take off her sweater.
Right.
That was the problem. See, so if you'd like to cop off for a few more quid, you know, we could do more. But
Yeah.
we can't do any more because we only paid you for the sweater.
Yeah. Well, I don't think really we shouldn't really turn the LV into a lap dancing club, really.
Why not?
Well, if you want lap dancing, you go to a lap dancing club.
Oh, do you?
Yeah, if you want to do a radio station on a light ship.
Oh, darn, I was trying to multitask.
Oh, okay. Have you seen the light show on the top of the ship?
Yes, it's glorious.
It's brilliant, isn't it? Yeah, really good.
Well, that was very exciting. Thank you, Susie Stripper.
Good job, Susie.
Most exciting sweater I've seen in a long time. Okay, a little bit of mine.
Bye, wait for the camera. Here you are.
What on earth was that?
What?
Bloody George.
What?
Thank you very much indeed for your help. That's really coming.
Yeah. One more. Thank you very much. Thanks. I tell you.
Get your seat somewhere. We'll
get my bag, by the way. We've got loads of bags. Oh, there it is. Thank you very much.
It was. Thank you, Father Mike Ahern again, although I have been in contact with Mike just about all the time over the last 45 years and started broadcasting together. But back to Australia,
We'll make a cider of you.
Copenhagen and the USA next week. And
Have you got a VHF signal? Anybody speak English? You got a VHF signal? There's two more on your VHF. Right, your VHF.
Right, you can come in here if you want.
I can't get across. I can't get there. All right. Have you got a VHF? Yes.
Oh, blast those curried eggs. Oh.
Didn't actually mean to say that, just slipped out.
It's smooth when it's smooth, or it's nice when it's smooth, but when it's rough, it's very, very rough. Yeah. So they do alternate service. I think they used to do Hamburg, but I don't know if they still do. And they do Stockholm, I think, and Gothenburg possibly.
So if it's 24 hours, is there a cabin or do people
yeah, you
sit
can
up
get
all
cabin.
night?
I mean, you can get that. The basic is just a
So you can
sort of
sit
camp
up
jet
all
thing. Yeah, you can sit up and watch. And it goes in amongst all the oil rigs and the gas rigs out in the North Sea.
That'd be a good trip.
Yeah, and just over from here, from Parkston, so you go from there to Scandinavia. The other one, the very noisy one that you might have heard early in the morning,
yes,
and went out again at 10, that's the Dutch one. It's, I think, used to be 2 sailings, I think it's just 1 sailing a day now, over to the Hook of Holland. And that used to be a high-speed ferry, used to do it in about 3-4 hours, but now they've gone back, they couldn't make that. So they've gone back to the more traditional ferry, about 6 hours.
Make a say because it was too expensive.
Too expensive for the fuel.
What year was it again? 1950.
Sorry?
Well, it's the 40th of the end, and it was on for 3 years. So, it's
67 was the end.
but this boat.
Oh, this boat.
Yeah, you told us how old the boat
She was built in 57. 57.
Hey, my year.
You had a big birthday.
Yes.
Semi-detached suburban Mr. James. Gord Crew's still with me in the studio. Gord, thanks for reading so many of our news bulletins, and you've got a load more to do before you leave us as well next week. You enjoying it?
Very, very much. Can't believe I'm here experiencing all this and enjoying the company of so many great Englishmen, and the hosts you are is beyond comparison.
We've had the Canadian Broadcasting Company on board this morning with their cameras. They're making some stuff for Canadian television, which is going out tomorrow. They're going to rush this back, and they wanted to talk to you. You've been the centre of attention today, Gord.
I've talked to quite a few of the Englishmen here. You know, they're all part of this scene. But yeah, the Canadian Broadcasting Corporation, Canada's national broadcaster, have been on board since 9:30 and have been asking questions. They filmed a newscast a couple of newscasts I did, talked to several of the English guys, to Johnny Walker, to several of the other guys. And this will be a piece that goes on the national news on Monday evening. It's called The National with Peter Mansbridge, and it runs an hour, 10 to 11.
And that's a big program.
It is. It's an hour of national news. And I think from the length of time that they talk to me, and they want to talk again, that it will probably be what they usually run around 10:25 for about 10-15 minutes as a feature within the newscast.
You're going to be so big when you get back there, you know, that you're going to be signing autographs and a lot.
Well, no, I don't think so.
This man, I must tell you, this man, Gord Crew, is the most modest man you've ever met in your life. He is such a sweet guy.
Appreciative, thank you.
He's been wonderful on the ship and so helpful. Gordy, it's been great working with you, and don't go anywhere because we've got a lot more for you to do yet. But one of the things you did, you were signed up on Caroline North, and you came out from the Isle of Man, you went out from Ramsey, and you were signed up as a newsreader, but also as a swing jock.
Swing jock, yeah.
Now that meant that you covered the guys when they went off leave.
Yeah, Graham Webb hired me as a newsreader, and because I could DJ, he said, could you do that as well? Put me on the South Ship, newsreader, about a month and a half. and then up to the North Ship because there was a void there, and I filled it with news reading at first, and then as the months went on, DJing became the prime occupation, shall we say, and I did the swing shift morning, afternoon, evening, part of the night, that sort of thing, and it was a fun time, really a fun time.
Have you seen much of Graham Webb since those days?
Yes, I have. He hosted me in Coolum Beach, Queensland, 3 years ago. I stayed with him and his family. We had we had a wonderful time. Graham was such a host. He almost matches the English in their hosting ability. And I keep in touch with him. He actually visited Victoria and met my grandsons, Ricky and Corey, and they thought, whoa, man, this guy's cool, because he's funny and he's full of life. He's got more hair than I am, and I hate him. So it was a very, very good experience. But he was the man responsible for getting me on the pirate ships.
Well, if you've got any axe to grind, you can get him back, because he's with us on Pirate BBC Essex tomorrow. So
Yes.
you and he together will
Yes.
be quite a magic man.
I understand he is, yeah.
Now, Gordy, let's get you to do the other side of the work then that you did originally. Will you introduce the next record? Because we've got a nice little bit of jingle that we've made here as well to play.
Pirate BBC Essex with Gord Trews.
Smokey Robinson and the Miracles, Going to a Go-Go.
But if you hear Norman, you can tell me. How long is the documentary?
And then it's a big secret, I'm not telling you everybody else, but it's a half-hour documentary, 3.
Welcome on board.
Thank you, Steve. Sounds great.
It does, doesn't it?
I had a spectacular arrival here. I hope no one saw it.
Everybody else, can I just say, everybody else has had to come on the tender, and it's great. But you turn up. Where's the champagne? You come on a yacht.
Well, I tried to jump off the yacht onto the ferry, but he wasn't having it. But, thank you, Mr. Ferryman. That was great. He rushed me out specially. I was running late. We've had a wonderful weekend sailing up and down the Orwell and out of Harwich, and it's been terrific. We'll say hello to all our friends later.
So
but it's wonderful to get here.
You just can't leave the boats alone then. 40 years on.
No, I've gone. I've swayed for 40 years.
I don't want to preempt any of your stories, but Guy, it's going to be great to have you on Pirate BBC Essex. Guy Hamilton's with you between 1 and 3, and I'm so looking forward to hearing his stories. The reminiscences from these guys going back the 40 years, all working, most of them just off the Essex coast, and so many stories to tell. Hope you're enjoying it. Then Glenn Speller's coming along from BBC Essex. Now, Glenn, very well known to BBC Essex sports fans as our head of sport, but he does have a hidden side, and you'll discover that this afternoon between 3 and 4. That's Glenn Speller. Then Keith Martin's coming. Now, Keith is on between 4 and 6, and Keith responsible, of course, for the Caroline Club. And yeah, I've got one. I've got the sticker. I've got the pack. I've got my badge. And I remember getting it too and getting so excited. I sent off my money, and then I remember having to wait very nearly a month for the blooming thing to arrive in the post.
Have a word with him.
I will actually. I will have a word with him. Why did it take so long? So that's this afternoon. Keith is with us, and then the Emperor Roscoe's back. 6 to 9 tonight. The Emperor for 3 hours on Pirate BBC Essex, just ahead of Cardboard Shoes. Keith's here between 9 and 1. The rest of the day here on Pirate BBC Essex.
Is that the only programme Is that the only programme that the other BBC stations do?
Well, tonight I think Sixties is doing something. Yeah, I think I get confused, but I think 6 o'clock this evening, or it could be 9. No, 9 o'clock possibly. Yeah, excuse.
Talking of Doug Kerr, I haven't got Doug Kerr. I've got our pirate on BBC Essex. Mr. John Kerr is here.
Hello, Steve.
John, one of the biggest names in Australian broadcasting, and we have him here on Pirate BBC Essex. Overnight, he's doing the nighttime service because, as we were saying to Norman, so many fans listening to the other side of the world, and it's great that you can keep in touch.
It's wonderful. It's just, yes, absolutely fantastic to hear the emails, get the emails in from Australia, but from all other parts of the world. And that's what happens on the program that I do back home, because when I'm on the air back home, it is daylight in the northern hemisphere, and so therefore there are a lot of expat Australians who live in Asia or who live in the United States or Canada or in the United Kingdom who want to listen in and hear the Australian news or to hear an Australian voice. So you get all these emails whizzing in. It's just isn't it different getting all these emails as opposed to 40 years ago when we were so totally isolated from the world, weren't we, really?
Did you just long for the post bag? You know, was it, you know, when are the next letters coming? To give you something to talk about and messages and things?
Absolutely, yes. And I also had a bit of a romance with a girl who worked in the offices of Radio Scotland, which is where I worked, young Maureen. I hope she's not listening now.
Not so young.
Not so young, absolutely. Good of you to point that out. And I waited for it, because we had a daily tender on Radio Scotland, and the little notes that came in from Maureen just kind of made my day, I'd have to say.
We won't go on about that. But we've heard a lot about the weather conditions off the Essex coast with the guys who are working with us here on the LV18, and we're really fortunate at the moment because it's flat calm here.
It's been beautiful.
But off Scotland, I imagine the weather could have been a bit more choppy up there.
Yeah. Look, the memory has diminished somewhat after 40 years, but I do recall, and I do have photographs, that the weather was pretty awful, as you would expect, sitting in the Irish Sea off Troon, off the Scottish west coast, and then latterly we were off in the North Sea off the east coast. The weather was never good. We were always pitching and rolling and heaving and tossing. And it was this constant dull feeling you had in your head. I was only ever seasick once. That was the first day I got on board, and from then on I never, for the following year or 14 months or whatever. But you never felt terribly well because the ship was constantly in motion. And it did make it rather difficult to get downstairs below seawater level and try and put on a happy face for 3 hours and pretend the world was right and good morning everybody.
And then to eat your dinner as well.
Yes, all of that. but a great memory. I mean, the worst memory of all is, I've told the story a couple of times, was the tow when we went from the west coast to the east coast on tow. This was an old Irish lightship. She was a hulk, no engine. And we had to be towed for political reasons. They caught us off the Isle of Arran and fined the ship rather heavily. So we either had to go off the air or go to another location. So we went from west coast to east coast. 3-day tow was supposed to be, took 10 days. I distinctly remember we ran out of food and water on the last 2 days completely. And the Scottish sea crew were ripping up the floorboards looking for a cigarette butt so that they could get onto a fag, even if it was a stub. And that was no good. That was Gale Force 9 going through the northwesternmost tip of the United Kingdom through the Pentland Firth, and genuinely, the 3 disc jockeys, myself included, the 4 Scottish crew, thought we were going to die that night. It was pretty bad.
Did you keep broadcasting all the way?
That's the reason the 3 disc jockeys were on board, to broadcast as much as we could on the tow, and I think we might have been on the air for a few hours in the 10 days. It was just terrible. The turntable was just standing vertical.
The weather was just awful.
Just awful.
Well, thank goodness we've got better conditions this August 2007 on Pirate BBC Essex. Now, you and I, John, along with Norman and anybody else I can muster up together, Ray Clark, Ray's coming over. We're going to meet everybody down at the Electric Palace Cinema this afternoon, aren't we?
And I did that yesterday and thoroughly enjoyed it. Apart from meeting the people, I thoroughly enjoyed that theatre. I think that's the most beautiful theatre I've ever seen. 1911, it's hard to believe a picture theatre is that old and still operating. So looking forward to seeing the location again, and hopefully a lot of interesting people like we had yesterday who will ask a lot of rather interesting questions.
If you want to come along, it's the Electric Palace Cinema then. 3 o'clock the show starts. It's only until 5. You'll see a little bit of a movie of Pirate BBC Essex from 2004 to set the scene. And then we'll introduce the guys and they'll tell you a few stories and you can ask your questions. £5.50 to get in, concessions £4, all money raised is going to the Electric Palace Cinema Trust. 23 minutes to 1.
Yeah, there was a little bit of a glitch, but we soon sorted it, I think. It does happen sometimes, because what also happens is that we're sending signals back, and then they're picked up and sent to Chelsea, and then picked up and sent to London, and then back to different stations. And sometimes, so many people involved with pushing buttons that it's going to go a bit.
The nice thing about working for the BBC is all these nice people around me. Tim's helping me get used to everything here. Great show, Steve, by the way. Thank you very much for the last couple of hours and all those lovely pirates we've been listening to for the last few days. So super. I'm so proud to be here, and it's wonderful. And it's so nice to know all these BBC chaps because they know everything. Like, who wrote my theme tune? Here we go. And that's nice. And I'd like to say hello to all the Radio Essex types that we were out there with. We've seen Mark Wesley, we've heard Mark Wesley on the ship this week, but I'd like to say a special hello to our old engineer Mike Brereton, who was responsible for all those people who could hear us. Roger Scott, Dick Dixon, Dick Palmer, Dave Sinclair over in Canada. How the heck are you? And of course His Royal Highness Prince Michael of Sealand. Hi, Michael Bates and his family. So hello to you, and I should say good morning to Dave in Canada. So great to have you listening. And here we are reliving Essex on Pirate BBC Essex. Not on the fort, not so many miles from here, but on the LV-18 old lightship in Harwich Harbour, and what fun it is. And the sun is staying with us. We're very lucky here. I think we've got some of the best weather in Britain at the moment. Well, there you go. We've said hello to them. Here's a record that we used to play on Radio Essex, which became BBMS out on the old fort. Tell you a bit about that later. But this was one of our favourite silly records. Little Jimmy Dickens, who was only 4 foot something high, and May the Bird.
Goes with the hat. Be careful going back up. One go back, is that? One of yours.
Just go back upstairs.
Hey, we're ready to take this down?
Whoa.
Yeah, that is a good song. I love Sir Thompson and James Barbella's doing. Is that Pirate Era record?
Yeah, that's it. Awesome.
Yeah.
Sad movie.
James, hold your bladder steady.
Written by John B. Loudermilk.
That's right. And her name is Eva Sue McGee.
Oh, really?
That's her real name, yeah. Eva Sue McGee. I'm in the carsy there having a twinkle, and there's Sheila on the other side of the boat having a quiet optic right through the bloody porthole.
The girl from CBC.
No, the bird on the boat that's parked on the other side. I said, oh, morning. Morning!
Such a big fuss made over such a little thing.
Now, hang on, were you looking at it?
How many you got?
That's not very nice.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Made round to go round.
6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11.
We got 10.
Hello, Mr. Van. How's it going?
We've got 10 on here.
5, 6 passes are required.
Right. As soon as you go past 5, you're stuck.
The boundaries are changed. We were 18 miles out, and we were really out into the miles. And 5 minutes move.
I went to the cars
But we
here, had riding in the old pink colours of the
the
club.
studio was
And I looked down, and there's the face of the bloody
so it went from side to side. So you, much like our studio, you had windows that beat inside. You went to the sea, to the sky, to the sea. So.
Well, I just something like that. You say it was like 30, 35 degrees later. Yeah, it was, wasn't it?
You know where that bluebell is, do you?
You asked that bird that was looking through the porthole. Thanks very much.
Right, to the shops then. Supplies.
What about?
They're going to the shops for supplies.
Please point you in the right direction and you can negotiate.
Can I ask you, the Mayor and Mayoress of Harwich, what do you think of the show so far?
Very good.
Right.
We don't care. We're
Shall we do it again though?
Yes.
As soon as possible. Well done, lovely. Good man. This is, you know, when you become a star, you get
a hood positioner.
I'm not going
I was
out.
supposed to say, oh, the Harwich was...
Have you ever seen anything like this in your time in Harwich, Mr.
Never.
Steelmaster?
Never.
Fantastic.
Not since the last day.
Thank you.
1960s.
Right around the harbour.
Right, yeah, we did, and Alan, who looks after the boat, said, do you want to have a look at the cruise liner that's in? We said, no, just hold it for a moment. We'll be all right.
It's Johnny Walker's having a big bath with Johnny.
You enjoyed Harwich?
I'm just worried about my box of records that's out there on that ship.
Great time?
Yeah, brilliant time. Absolutely fantastic. Exceeded my wildest dreams. It really did.
Did you have any doubts about going out in the first place?
No, none whatsoever.
Good man.
No.
And will you have any doubts if we ask you again?
Let's just get on shore and enjoy the benefits of shore before we start talking about the
Go on,
next time.
Johnny. There's a wife waiting there for you as well. Let's go to Gord Cruz. And Gord, the Canadian guy that was doing the news all the way through, enjoyed it?
Absolutely enjoyed it. A wonderful experience.
And
Just a wonderful experience.
Can't wait to get off this boat, can you?
Well, it's a little wet, but I'm amazed at the people here. just amazing.
Well, go up and meet them, because there's even more over on the harbour side there.
No. Thank you, Rick.
Let's move off. Duncan Johnson here as well with his flower. Hello, Duncan. Nice to see you.
Hello.
Good man. You enjoyed it?
I think I must have done.
No, you think you must have done.
But this is for real and with real weather. I mean, when I left, whenever it was last week, it was summertime. Now what's it doing? Blowing a gale, just like it used to do in 64, 5, 6 and 1967. But it's great to be back. It was a superb function. Thanks very much, BBC Essex and everybody who helped out.
Look at this crowd here. Why is it so special? Why are these people
because
here?
You're here, right?
Get out.
It's as simple as that. They knew you were coming. No giveaway because it says BBC Essex right across it, but it's Pirate BBC Essex this time round, or it was until we closed down just a few moments ago. But what a fantastic show, and well done to everybody.
Great to see you. Thanks for coming. Sorry about the weather.
Can we just swing just around this way so I can get the crowd behind us, get a nice...
When Pirate BBC Essex is on the air, the sun shines. When we go off the air, it starts raining.
Isn't that just the way it is with real pirate radio, hey? The whole team. Look, we're going to play a song while we're just lining up for some photographs here in Harwich. Ed Stewart, BBC Essex, as opposed to Pirate BBC Essex now. What was it like?
Oh, lovely. It took me right back. As soon as I went on the ship, I could smell the diesel. I was right back there.
All these people coming to see you, I mean, it must be memories of the 60s.
It really is.
And why are they here? Why do you think it's so special?
Because they loved it and they associate their lives with ours, I suppose. You know, we were all in it together. They were our listeners, and now they hear the grandchildren coming to have it. Hello, mate.
Thank you very much.
No, I'll do it because that'll get wet otherwise, I will.
Thank you very much. I just came all the way around and then they said you'd gone.
No. Not yet. There we are. Okay. Cheers.
Well, look, Ian, we've spoken to most of our Pirate BBC Essex crew. We'll get a chair in a moment and a cup of tea ourselves. What do you reckon to all this?
Well, it was a dream, as Steve was saying, in 2004, and for us younger folk who weren't able to take part in the real thing, then to be able to get an opportunity to do it, to experience it, to listen to it and enjoy it, I never thought I'd see that, and it's been fantastic, and it's been so good to hear and get so much feedback from young people saying, I wasn't around in the 60s, but I've still enjoyed it, and I think that says it all, really. And there's a lot of young faces here as well. There's so many friendly faces here, so many cameras, so many queues. In fact, so many queues, we can't find the right people that we wanted to speak to. But this is just, I mean, we thought the weather, we thought, well, that's it. There'll be 3 people and a dog and an umbrella, and you know, all very nice, but wow.
There's lots of people, 1 or 2 dogs, and hardly any umbrellas, because everybody was expecting summer, and the summer of love,
Flowers,
which I suppose is where we were going back.
Giving out flowers.
This is amazing. There's some young ladies here. Why are you here?
Because I love pirate radio.
Do you? Why was it so special?
1970, friends and I went out to RNI that was based off Holland.
This was the next lap of pirate radio, wasn't it? So you'd grown up as a little girl hearing the 60s ones and decided to stick with it through the 70s?
1970 onto RNI.
It's amazing.
My daughter loves it too.
Oh, really? So we've got mum and daughter here that have been pirate radio fans. What have you thought to the last few days of Pirate BBC Essex?
I love it. I love 60s music, and it's really good fun. It's just really fun to listen to.
Have we got it right?
Yes.
Would you like it to continue?
Yeah, very much so, yes.
Would anybody else like it to continue? That's strange that you should say such a thing, hey? We are BBC Essex. Thank you for listening to Pirate BBC Essex. On behalf of the whole crew, for that matter, thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, BBC Essex, Caroline or London? Can we just see back to 40 years? Caroline? Radio London, perhaps? Right, where are we? I think I saw Mr. Skews there again.
What about BBC Pirate Essex?
Oh, Pirate Essex! Something's going that stage, Johnny! Let's go with another song. It was going to be the Days of Early Special, the umpteenth time, but we still don't use David, but it's BBC Essex. Steve, we did 2004, clearly up 2007, so one to the other. The response rate was overwhelming. Good man. We'll go further over. We'll go where we can get. To be honest, we can't get very far at the moment. So
really strange leaving the ship. That's really strange leaving the ship. A silent studio.
What's the feeling been like for the last few days?
Unbelievable.
Still fine?
Yeah, fine.
Johnny Walker, you are probably one of the most important people in the whole history of offshore radio because of that night, the 14th of August, 1967. Caroline continues.
Yeah.
Tell me about that night.
Well, I was thinking about it on the way down in the car, and I was thinking, well, why was it me who made the announcement? And probably my show is 9 to midnight. So I'm sitting in a chair at midnight with a microphone. So that's probably how it happened. But it was, I was running the whole range of emotions, you know. I was so excited. There was so much adrenaline pumping.
Were you scared?
Yeah, I was scared. Yeah, sure. We were putting on the bravado. I mean, we had a bit of a shock at about 2 o'clock in the afternoon when the tender got to the boat and all the other guys came off. And I don't blame them for it. I entirely understand.
But you hadn't expected those guys to come off.
No, they said they were going to stay. But you see, Robbie and I, it just happened that our week off was up to the 14th. They were sitting out on the boat and they were probably talking late into the night, my God, what's it going to be like? Are we going to end up in jail? We're going to have to go into exile in Holland, you know. So they didn't have all the boosting that Robbie and I had. So I entirely understand the way they felt. But it was such a shock when we got there. And we had Ross McRae with us, who was a newsreader from, I think, Radio City. And I said, have you ever done a DJ show, Ross? He goes, no. I said, can you do one? He said, well, maybe. So I thought, well, we've got 2.5 DJs to run the whole radio station. So, but at 11 o'clock, we got the last legal tender from the UK, and on board was Spangles Muldoon and Stevie Merrick, who saved the day. But it was an amazing moment. It really was.
And that speech you came out with, which of course was recorded and has been pressed as records, and I think probably half the world now knows. Did you write that? Did Ronan write it? Did it just come off the cuff?
That was mostly Ronan, really. That was Ronan saying, well, listen, we'll thank Harold Wilson because he at last recognises that we do have a right to be here.
Because that was a clever twist.
That was a clever twist, really, because they couldn't make the boats illegal, because you cannot legislate over international waters. You know, what you could have done maybe is to try and extend the limit or something. But so all they could do is make it illegal for a British subject to have anything to do with Caroline. Probably if you did that, if you tried that sort of a law on now, the European Union would come down on you way heavy, you know, because why should a French person or an Italian person be allowed to do something that a British person can't, you know? So it was a pretty draconian piece of legislation. And I think that's part of the reason why Ronan wanted to fight it, because he thought the law was really unjust. For us, we loved what we did out there. We knew that the listeners loved it. We loved playing them the music they liked. And so, you know, as far as I was concerned, if Caroline was going to go on, I couldn't bear the idea of it going on without me being there. I wanted to be part of it.
Now in retrospect, and I mean, we all know what you've done, and I kind of think, all things considered, you've had probably an incredibly successful career as a broadcaster. But do you think that that moment in time helped or hindered the rest of your career as a broadcaster?
At the time, I think it hindered my career. Unbeknownst to me, I was sort of on the list for the DJs that Radio 1 wanted. Not that I would have gone round there, but... and then after I carried on with Caroline, and after it ended, after March 68, they circulated a memo around the BBC to all the producers. On no account must any producer hire Johnny Walker until at least a year has gone by to let the taint of criminality subside. So I think it sort of hindered my career. I didn't know what was going to happen. I was quite scared about what might happen. I thought we were going to see the Royal Navy out there the next day. I didn't know when I was going to see my folks or my friends again. I find, you know, I got quite homesick in Holland, and the journey from Caroline to Holland used to take about 24 hours, and usually the seas were rough, and we would just be seasick the entire way. Anybody who's ever been seasick for 24 hours knows what that's like. So it was really tough.
But you are an adventurer, really, aren't you?
I suppose so. I've never been called one of those. But
well, you are.
I'll take it. Yeah.
Yeah. How does it feel, therefore, after all the things you've done, and, you know, we all know the things you've done. If we don't know the things you've done, it's time to buy the book and find out. But how does it feel to be actually part of the establishment? Because within the BBC now, Radio 2, deputising for Wogan, all that kind of stuff, you are very much a part of that kind of BBC.
I've been to the Palace even.
Yeah.
How much more establishment can you get than that?
Exactly. How does that feel? How do you reconcile that with what you were in the 60s?
Well, I did what I did in the 60s, and I am what I am in you know, the noughties or whatever they call this decade that we're in, you know. So I'm sort of comfortable with where I am, really. The BBC and I have had a long love-hate relationship with each other. We're sort of like, Elizabeth Taylor and Richard Burton, I think. So, but no, I mean, I enjoy the radio I do with the BBC, and it's great here to come and sort of celebrate 40th anniversary. But that was then, and this is now, you know, sort of. You can't be a rebel all the time, Tony. You've got to calm down eventually. But I still got a rebellious spirit in me. If I, see any sort of injustice or unfairness, I'll be standing up there, up the front, having a go.
Keep on trucking.
I will.
Johnny Walker, thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Do we get paid for this?
Who cares?
And we do have the kings of the Pirates with us this time round. It's been fantastic to have not only cardboard shoes, but also from Radio 2, from Caroline originally, Mr. Sir Johnny Walker.
Thank you very much indeed. I'm sorry, I tried to arrange some better weather. It worked for the first few days of Pirate BBC Essex. But to come in, we came in on the yellow ferry thing, and we should have had a cup of tea on the ship when we finished at 3 o'clock, but instead we were kind of hustled onto the ferry. So then we get there, and we start going past. And all of a sudden, we're ready to get on land, and so we felt like brides who'd arrived at the church, the groom had turned up. So we went round the block, waiting for the documentary to finish at 3:30. We've had the most wonderful time, and I think if you have a wonderful time in a radio studio, it communicates itself to the people listening in. And it's impossible to replicate something like this on land, I think, unless you lock people in a building and say, right, we'll stay there and do radio programs. But because you're out there on a ship, you can't get off the ship, you're all together, and the listener listens in to the whole life that's going on board the ship. And the great thing was, with people like Keith and Tom Edwards and Keith Hampshire and all the rest of us that were around there, Dave Cash, who's so tired, he's gone back to his hotel and crashed out, I think. But because we'd all done it before, we knew what it was like to all live on a ship together. So we're all in the galley, people are making their own breakfast, and I tell you, we need them on a health food diet after the last few days. We've never seen so many donuts and stuff, But we had a truly wonderful time, and so grateful to all those at Radio Essex, especially Steve, who had the original idea. This is a guy who really made it all happen in 2004, and because it was successful then, they gave him, permission to do it again. And Tim Gillett and Ray and all the people at Radio Essex. For us to be able to come back, as Mike Ahern said to me on Friday morning, he said, Johnny, how lucky are we to be able to come here and relive our youth again, and to feel like being sort of 21, 22 again. It was the most wonderful experience for us. So I think because we were enjoying it so much, that's what communicated itself, over the airways. And it's so great that people say they shouldn't be allowed to die, they should, this must continue. The fact it was only going to be for about 6 days is what helped make it very special, I think. And it is sad when it all closed down, but I'm not sure that you could do it 365 days a year, certainly Pirate Station. But I would absolutely agree with Keith's views. For some reason, Radio 2, which really should be catering for people of our age group, and the younger people who like that music, who are very welcome to listen. For some reason, they seem to be hell-bound on trying to bring in younger and younger listeners all the time, which is Radio 1's job. We went through that before. who work in radio and grew up the music, and yourselves obviously by your applause, that's the sort of radio that you want. And Tiggy, my wife, said to me the other day, well, a little while ago, she, saying quite a few, we need to start another radio station now, because and there's a friend in the radio business who's been in it all his life, and he famously said a few weeks ago, he said, for years and years and years, I was too young to listen to Radio 2. They obviously didn't want me, we were playing, very old-fashioned music. He said then, it started to change. Suddenly, Radio 2 was the most perfect station for me, and I really love listening to it. And within 6 months, I find I'm too old for Radio 2. That's weird thing. As Keith said, half the population is over 50 and wants that music. It's one of the mysteries of our times. And personally, I think the BBC, because it's licensed players who play it, should be doing a bit more what its audience wants, rather than what it thinks its audience wants. So thank you very much for coming. To come out on a day like today and to stand there in the rain just to welcome us back was really got us here, I can tell you. It was wonderful. So thank you very much indeed for your wonderful welcome.
Now, I just wanted to do a few thank yous, obviously, to the guys, and it goes without saying, the time that they've given, the time tonight that they've given. But I want to thank the Electric Palace Theatre here in Cinema for allowing us to use the venue tonight at their standard admission prices, and all of the money that you've given is going straight back into the trust here at the cinema and to the LVA team. So thank you on their behalf for supporting the event. That's number one. And second, there are loads of people who've made this possible, because a lot of people think that the BBC have got an endless pot of money. But in a way, I suppose we have got a lot of money, but it's your money. It's not our money, it's your money. You pay the BBC licence fee. So we've got to spend it really very carefully. And what we've done here in Harwich and with the LVA team is to get a lot of pirate partners, as we've been calling them, to support what we've done. There have been loads of them. So I don't want to take up time mentioning them all, but they know who they are. We've been mentioning them on Pirate BBC Essex. But without their help, quite frankly, ladies and gentlemen, this would not have happened. And especially to the people of Harwich who've made it happen. So let's give them a big round of applause, please. The Town Council, I should say. The Town Council provided the lovely flowers that I've been walking around with today, which was a beautiful, fantastic gesture. The Summer of Love, 1967, what a great idea. Don't forget the LVA team, even though we're leaving it now, we're saying goodbye. The studio is now quiet, maybe for the last time. The LVA team, the trust that own the ship, would love to turn it into a floating museum to light ships. And I was talking to Trinity House the other day. We had one of the senior officers from Trinity House on the ship, and he said it would cost £150,000 to bring the ship back into pristine condition. Now, I just heard a gasp from the front here, but think about lightness, think about how big it is. You've all seen it out at sea. And I think £150,000 is not that far out of reach when you think of what that ship could offer Harwich and Essex as a tourist attraction. Harwich is the home of Trinity House. It's known worldwide. So why shouldn't we have a public space to shout about Trinity House and to shout about what all those guys did throughout the centuries guarding the coasts of Britain? So give it some thought. Tony O'Neill is your representative here, along with Colin Crawford. They're both from the LVA team, the Pharos Trust. If you want to talk to them about that, Colin, just stick your hand up. People can talk to you. Tony's got the camera. Talk to him. Especially if you've got pots of money, because I know they'd love to talk to you. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for your support. It's been a fantastic time. To the guys, to you, bless you for coming. Thanks a lot.